I really like that when I came home today, you were out back in the garden with your headphones in, just in your own space, with the cigarette hanging out of your mouth. It was picturesque.
Wow.
You look like you were having all of life's pleasures. Were you having all of life's pleasures?
Yeah, absolutely.
You were out there, it was nice and sunny and warm, but not too warm, a beautiful breeze. It really feels like spring. Yeah, everything's alive out there, including some plants in our garden, which we'll get to. I'll tell you, on the way home from church today, though, I turned on the radio. Sometimes I'll listen to NPR on the way home and get some good content, like about chimeras from last week. But it was an episode about death, about various plagues and the way people die. And I just, you'd think they'd read the room after a whole year of thinking about nothing else. So I was like, oh man, I can't listen to this on the way home. So I clicked over to the audio off my phone that I was listening to, and I've been listening to Doug Stanhope's new stand-up album. He's a stand-up that I really liked 10 or 15 years ago, and oh boy, is he not aged well.
I'm unsurprised.
I'm completely unsurprised by that. But like a lot of comedians, he's gotten worse. Like he's really dug his heels in a way where his whole act didn't have to be all about fucking cancel culture 15 years ago, but I guess now it is. But anyway, I turned off
They're trying to stop me from
yeah, they're trying to stop me.
Extremely boring stuff.
Yeah. But I had turned off the death episode of NPR, and he went into a bit about dead babies, about GoFundMes after babies die, and I was like, oh man, I can't listen to this either. So I clicked on whatever was on my music app when I had been last listening to it, and it was music from Holy Week, the Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ on his way to be crucified.
Why is that the last thing you listened to?
Well, I don't listen to music anymore, but I could not get away from death. So I screamed and shut off all audio. But when I got home, it was a beautiful spring day, and I saw you in the garden looking happy with cigarette hanging out of your mouth. And everything was right again.
You're Roman.
You were Allison, and many people are saying that this is seedy business. It's seedy business. It's seedy business.
I've cooked some beans.
Yeah, they smell great. You consulted the internet, and the internet advised that you could roast canned tomatoes.
That's right. I wanted to have some roasted tomatoes with these beans, but we didn't have tomatoes. And so I looked to see how you would roast canned tomatoes, and then I did that.
Yeah, that blows my mind a little bit. They seem too wet. What's the wettest thing you can roast?
I guess canned tomatoes.
Well, we wanted to start on the front end with some celebrity garden news, which sometimes we will end with. But you had seen an article that you brought to my attention.
That's right. It was a recent New York Times article about how celebrities are profiting off the pandemic-inspired gardening craze, I guess.
It's called Americans Have Discovered the Garden and Celebrities Want In.
For some reason, the main, the beginning, the first several paragraphs are all about Drew Barrymore planting a lawn of grass. That was her first, I guess, pandemic gardening feat, was to plant the enemy of all gardeners, a lawn. And now she has some sort of sponsorship with a company that delivers fertilizer for your lawn. It's like a subscription service that delivers organic lawn fertilizer.
Wow. Is that Urban Stems that they're talking? No, that's a flower and plant delivery service that is somehow affiliated with Kate Hudson's vodka brand.
Wait, what?
It's about a third of the way through the piece.
This company is called Instead. when you click on the link in the New York Times article, which is somehow not SpawnCon, I guess. New York Times has SpawnCon. It says lawn differently with Drew Barrymore. And then it has a pull quote that is supposedly from Drew Barrymore and not at all from their copywriters. And it says, I'm always looking for a natural choice. So I choose to lawn differently, comma, instead.
Oh, wow. Jesus Christ.
I'm sure that was all Drew Barrymore's idea.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like a Gwyneth Paltrow Goop thing more than a Drew Barrymore thing.
Yeah, this definitely could have been Goop. I bet they approached Gwyneth Paltrow first, and she was like, no, I'm not a lawn guy.
Yeah, the article, as you might guess, centers itself to some degree around Martha Stewart, because she's sort of the most prominent face of this. But one of the great revelations of this article for me is that the British have a national gardener, Monty Don, which sounds like an incredibly fake name. So they're speculating that Martha Stewart should be like our gardener laureate.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly already her function, I think.
It's her function, but she has to use some of her time in the limelight being horny and drinking alcohol.
Yeah, that's one of the main aspects.
Yeah. But is that becoming of the gardener laureate?
Well, we're not stuffy here. Here in the US, we have a very hot 70-year-old lady who posts thirst traps.
Yeah. Speaking of very hot 70-something-year-olds, is that a good transition?
I don't know. What's
transition
into?
Into our other celebrity garden news.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry, Martha Stewart is 79.
79? Whoa.
Yeah, she's a very hot 80-year-old lady.
I cannot believe the way that celebrities are able to keep their faces and bodies looking, at this point, 40 years younger? I mean, she looks very young still. Well, they have all kinds of magic elixirs that we don't have access to.
That's not true. They have Botox and fillers and facelifts.
Wow, incredible.
If there were magic elixirs, we would know what they are. Those are the things. It's Restylane or whatever, Restylane. I don't know how you pronounce it. Injectables.
What work do you think that 72-year-old Gerald Stratford, the Twitter king of Big Veg gardening, has had done? Have you taken a look at him? This is our other celebrity who's been in the news.
So he's a little bit different, though. He's a celebrity for being an old man who likes to garden.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a nice old man who at 72 looks, 40 years older than Martha Stewart? But a nice old man, nice old English man who had a viral tweet of himself in his garden wearing an all pink getup with suspenders, a pink t-shirt tucked into, I guess, pink denim with some blue suspenders, holding a big bunch of bushy greens. The caption for the tweet was, "My first early rocket, very pleased. My first early rocket, very pleased."
He's also, by the way, in this image wearing a belt and clip-on suspenders.
Yeah.
With this pink outfit, like a black or dark brown belt and then navy blue clip-on suspenders.
Yeah. Well, he either doesn't trust one or the other of those or feels like no pants can hold him.
Now, it's very clear that his distinctive writing style is a big part of his popularity because he has accidentally tapped into a kind of Twitter style because of his refusal to use punctuation.
Often you'll be able to tell when someone is an old person writing on Facebook or Twitter because of their erratic capitalizations or odd punctuations, use of quotes. He writes like a very hip, weird Twitter user. My first early rocket, very pleased.
Now, what shall I do with this big boy celery?
Yeah, that was
my first early rocket, very pleased.
In the second image, describe the thing is and we'll get to this.
I just wanted to read the text.
Yeah.
I just want to read the text. Let me read these tweets in this article. This is the first time I have grown a tromboncino. It's very interesting. Cheers. I thought I would brighten up the day. It's raining outside. Cheers. Not all my veg are perfect. Cheers. I like that he signs off cheer. He signs off his tweets. That's a classic. This is Gerald. Here is my tweet. Goodbye is also a common
format. Yeah.
Now, what shall I do with this big boy celery?
I mean, he's holding just enormous vegetables in each of these pictures.
Yeah, I mean, the celery's 3 feet tall.
Yeah. He's the Twitter king of, quote,
this
big veg.
This is a 1 meter celery we've got here. It's a big boy celery.
Yeah.
I mean, this bundle of rocket he's holding in the my first early rocket very pleased tweet is also enormous.
Yeah. I guess it's arugula.
Yeah.
But his fashion from the very beginning in my first early rocket very pleased tweet, as we've described it, is very fashion forward, I think. But all of his outfits are pretty good.
I agree. There's a picture, one of his recent tweets that I just went to his Twitter.
Uh-huh.
And one of his recent tweets, he's looking really sharp. He's got these kind of dark pink, like they're a pinkish red trousers, which I think are probably the trousers from the first picture. But he's paired it with a brighter red V-neck t-shirt,
cool,
bright red gardening gloves, and then a brick red and navy plaid button-down shirt that's open all the way.
Yeah.
And he looks very hip. Like, this is a guy who's got
I mean, let's
style.
Be clear. I'll link to him. Like, any style this man has is, maybe he's a savant of style, but he is not thinking about fashion. And of course, that's what makes him charming.
Yeah.
But
he's delightful.
Did you take a closer look at the "not all my veg are perfect" cheers tweet? In that one, he's wearing a t-shirt with his suspenders over the t-shirt have like eggplants and squash on them. And his t-shirt reads, "I'd rather be down the allotment." I don't know what that means. It seems culturally specific.
Well, the allotment is it's like a community garden plot.
Okay, I'd rather be down at the allotment, in the allotment. There's no preposition. I'd rather be down the allotment.
Wow. Good thing we don't have any British
Well,
listeners.
I think we do, according to our stats.
We don't anymore.
Now we don't, yeah. Well, we're profiling one of their national heroes.
And he's holding, in that photo, he's holding what we would think of as a typical cylindrical carrot. And then he's holding a mega carrot that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roots that are all twisted together in a really cool way. My guess, just looking at it, is that something went weird with this particular carrot, because it looks like it actually starts as a single carrot.
Uh-huh.
And then some kind of signaling center that denotes the main stem of the main tuber of the carrot. Like, instead, it's got like 5 or 6 of them, and they're all going haywire. That's what it doesn't look like. It started as multiple carrots that grew together. It looks like one carrot that has divided a bunch of times for some reason. It's pretty cool.
It is cool. I mean, I guess if you're growing big veg, or that's your stated goal, which I think it is for him, you're going to get some
specifically.
Yeah, you're going to get some weird shit.
He wants them to be big.
So
big boy.
Eater.com did this profile of him, which is what we're reading, and I'll link to it. But they interviewed him and asked him some questions. Like, what do you like best about gardening? He says, I'm 72. I've got aches and pains. I've got arthritis. I've got 2 metal knees. The physical activity keeps me fit. I don't need to go to the gym, and it's just the pleasure. It's very therapeutic when I'm tending my vegetables. It's just nice. All your worries go away. Just so lovely. He does say that his interest in growing big veg comes from the fact that he used to be a fisherman. And of course, if you're a sport fisherman, you always want to catch the biggest fish. But he says, I spent a lifetime as a serious fisherman. I'd had enough fishing. I feel like I caught enough fish. So he's caught all the fish. So now he needs to grow the biggest vegetable, I guess.
He's got a video on his Twitter that just says, "My little red friends." And I'm just going to play this because I want to know what it is.
Good morning. I'm just digging out some compost for Elizabeth's sweet peas. All her homemade compost. It's beautiful stuff. You get 1 or 2 things growing in it, but look at that. And look at those. These are the beauties which make it. They're little red worms. The gardener's friend. Cheers.
Oh.
They're his compost, his red wigglers and his compost. They're his little red friends.
That's very cute. Anyway, why he has been in the news this past week is because he signed on to a campaign with Gucci.
Yeah, Gucci's got him in these overalls.
Yeah, I mean, they've clearly tapped into, they understand what is neat about the way he dresses, and they gave him clothes to wear that clearly fit the style. He said they're just nicer and better looking clothes.
And it looks like, I mean, a lot of what they're advertising in these photos, I assume they gave him the overalls.
Yeah.
It's all nylon stuff, like I guess recycled nylon. So it's mostly bags.
Yeah.
It's actually mostly hip young people looking at him while he holds a giant veg.
It's so
and
funny.
Then they all have cute little nylon duffel bags and purses and things that they're holding.
Yeah, that picture of those 4 hot models gazing up at him as he holds a sprouting vegetable. Is the idea that this guy had to hang out with these people for a day is very fun to me.
Yeah, lower down there's a picture of a couple of, as you say, hot models, their little purses and bags staring at him as he peels a potato.
Yeah. There's the one guy who's standing up next to him, that model who has like some sort of fucking designer fanny pack on, and he's just, every bit a Gucci model, just looking down at this man peeling a potato. I can't imagine what he is thinking at that moment. I can't imagine what either one of them are thinking.
It's very cute and weird. That's the world we live in. Whoa, I've been scrolling down his Twitter. He's holding a really cute jar of pickled cucamelons.
Oh, Jesus.
And it says, "This is the first time I've pickled cucamelons. Very good. Cheers."
Shocking.
So
what a betrayal. Well, let's
of all I
transition.
hold dear.
Let's transition
Wow, I hate cucamelons.
into you telling me what is in the garden.
Then let us cultivate our garden. It's the only way to make life endurable.
Are you our local King of Big Veg?
Absolutely not. As you well know, I'm the king of weirdly small veg, usually. I pulled a bunch of cucamelons that were trying to strangle everything else in the big container garden in the front, because now we're plagued with cucamelons. That's going to be our big weed in that area forever.
It's our albatross.
Cucamelons. Yeah. Maybe I should give in and trellis them to shade our front porch area. I should grow a bunch of cucamelons since they seem happy enough to grow there. Maybe I could grow them for shade.
You don't think there's any chance they'll stink on the vine, do you?
Of course they will. They'll drop little rotting cucamelons because we won't want to pick them because we don't want to eat them.
Yeah.
Because we're afraid of them tasting like the bad version.
Yeah, right.
You can never know until you've eaten it whether you picked it in time or if it's become incredibly nasty.
Yeah, it's a real gamble.
But I'm just saying, if they're going to be there, maybe I should just
Use
deal with
them.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's that. And then in the backyard, the big news of the week is that I got some strawberry plants, some strawberry crowns. And I got a fabric strawberry pot because as much as I love the look of terracotta strawberry pots, they're very expensive. And of course, they're also fragile and heavy and all that stuff. So I've got a strawberry pot now full of crowns that I just planted.
The irony is that they do need sand. They need a specific percentage of the ground to be sand. But instead of just using our dirt, which is sand, we're going to go to the beach and get some dirt or get some sand from there.
We're not stealing sand.
Oh,
because
because that's a crime. Right.
But
we're not doing that. Let's be clear.
That was your idea. And I vetoed
Whoa,
it.
I can't believe you threw
Wow,
me under
threw
the
you
bus
right
like
under the
that.
bus. Yeah, it says that they would like a lot of sand. Remember, though, I grew them really happily in our raised beds in North Carolina.
Right.
And we had lots of strawberries. Like, that was one of the most successful crops, really, like
Sure.
arugula and strawberries. But I never got around to planting more here. It does seem like they tolerate sandy soil well, so they're sort of a natural choice to try out in the garden here. But I would like to try them in a pot format as well, because then we can pick them up and move them around and stuff.
Part of the challenge, of course, with our yard is making sure things either get some sun or don't bake in overwhelming sun. So having things in pots so you can move them as needed is of benefit.
Yeah, I think so, because, yeah, as you say, the backyard is very dark, very low light.
Although the trees being trimmed has helped with that significantly.
But it's still, I think they say less than 6 hours a day is considered very low light. And that's the situation back there even now.
Yeah, probably.
But the front yard, yeah, it's just relentless sun. And I moved our kumquat tree to the front of the house where it will get that relentless sun.
Right.
So we'll see how it does there.
To,
it seems like it'll be happy.
We have it under the porch right now. We have to make sure to water it.
I watered it on
yeah.
Friday.
Okay. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Well, I consider this to be our 6th season. I think this is the first episode of our 6th season.
Wow.
Yeah. We're real content creators.
How will we know when we're done?
Well, I've got a lot left in the tank, you may recall. I don't know. We'll know when our world is no longer able to sustain agriculture. So like 10 years, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, but we and you know, our last full episode was a year in review episode. We are starting with our first catalog of this new season, and you know, it's really in stark contrast to that last episode, which was the broadest episode we've done. I had to go and look at through all the old catalogs and listen to all the old episodes. But today is maybe our narrowest episode that we've done. And we are going to look at Dixondale Farms, their 2021 catalog. They sell exclusively onions. You didn't see, but Allison did like a eyebrow wiggle as though she were enticed. And when I say exclusively onions, it really is exclusively onions. It's not like strictly medicinal that somehow is not strictly medicinal and sell a bunch of other vegetables. There's like a tomato catalog that I almost suggested we do today that had a bunch of other nightshades in it.
Shocking.
I know, it's a betrayal. Fillory Garlic Farm had a bunch of other things in it, like carrots and some other root vegetables. Dixondale Farms, baby. Onions all the way down.
Maybe we should grow onions this winter.
We can. Well, as we'll learn in a couple minutes, we can still start leeks, it looks like. That might be our only option to still start right now.
I mean, I never grow onions for the very obvious reason that
they're extremely cheap
they're
to
very
buy.
Cheap.
Yeah.
They're cheap and they store well, so there's no need to have...
Truly no point.
Yeah. But it's a great option if you want to be more food self-sufficient. Onions are shockingly nutritious.
Yeah. They contain a lot of quercetin, which we all know cures COVID-19, the virus caused by the novel coronavirus.
Wow, onions cure COVID?
Yeah.
Is that... Okay. But yeah, I mean, many people in Earth's history have lived on a diet primarily of grain and onions.
Yeah, you can do a lot. So Dixondale Farms was founded in 1913. It was founded by John Mabson McClendon as a small family farm. It was a cabbage and onion farm, which you may recall from several episodes back. Cabbage and onion soup was a main component of my early grad school diet. Farms in an area just north of Pancake, Texas, South Texas, known as Dixondale. Family still lives there. The business accelerated during the Victory Garden era of the 30s when they shipped crops by railroad to customers. In the 50s, the railroad stopped running, so they actually ended their mail order business at that point and became primarily a contract grower of onion transplants for large onion farms. And then they also phased out cabbage in the 50s. It's fascinating, like so many of these businesses have to expand in our capitalist ideal. Business always is to get bigger, and more vertically integrated and more and more and more. But they started as a cabbage and onion farm with ship by rail business, but they phased out the cabbage and stopped shipping at one point. In the 60s, they began to grow cantaloupes as a summer crop, which are mostly sold in bulk from the field. They still sell cantaloupes. They're called chorizo cantaloupes. They can be often found at Whole Foods, it looks like, but they don't have a catalog that offers these. I guess they don't sell seeds to, or maybe they do, but as far as I know, they don't sell cantaloupe seeds. They sell actual cantaloupes. They ship cantaloupes around to be sold as food. The most interesting story in their history to me was in 1985, I guess there was a severe freeze in Vidalia, Georgia, that killed the entire crop of Vidalia onions for that year in Vidalia, Georgia, which I guess is where Vidalia onions come from. I guess it's like a champagne type situation where Granix onions that are grown in that area of Georgia can be called Vidalia onions, because they're imbued with some sort of special sweet Georgia
terroir.
But anyway, yeah, there was a deep freeze that killed all those onions in 85. And apparently bootleggers began transporting Texas onions to that region, and they repackaged them as Vidalia onions in Vidalia bags. And I cannot for the life of me figure out on their website. They word it really oddly. Like, I don't think they want to acknowledge that Dixondale Farms were the bootleggers, but I think it's heavily implied that they were, and they seem to be proud of it. I don't want to be sued for libel, but that was my reading of their unusual language. They might have been Vidalia Granix bootleggers.
Would you like to make some sort of onion-based alcohol?
Is that an option?
Yeah. I just had this thought while you were talking about bootleggers and this onion farm. I was wondering, have people made alcohol, an onion-based alcohol? Because people have made anything that can be fermented into an alcohol at some point. And most of these recipes, I guess it's referred to as onion wine.
Oof.
And it seems to be mostly, so it's onions and then potatoes, and then some grapes or raisins. Those are the main things that get fermented together into who knows what that's like. We could find out, though.
I'm sure it's like when you leave a bag of onions in the back of the cabinet for too long and they start to rot and liquid accumulates in the bottom. That's what I'm picturing.
Horrible. Wow. Terrible.
In any case, I guess in 1990, they restarted their mail order business and catalog, and because UPS started servicing their area, they got to 5 generations of family ownership. But on their website in 2009, it states, quote, with none of the children interested in joining the family business at this time, they focused on grooming the next generation of leadership from trusted friends and qualified candidates in the area. So it seems like they're super disappointed that their children didn't want to take over their 5th generation onion business. But I guess they put out about 800 million onions in the mail every year. What do you think about the catalog? Go to the second page, the inner cover, and look at the caption for those two people.
Bruce the Onion Man and Jeannie Fraser.
Yeah. Bruce, quote, the Onion Man.
Yeah, I guess it's all one word. So, Onion Man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're just trying to trick me into saying something unflattering about how this catalog looks, and then you're going to show me how cute these people are, and I'm going to feel bad, with Annie's.
No, we have to speak our truth.
It doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, as a catalog. I mean, so let's be clear.
I'm sure they're fine at growing and selling onions.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this catalog doesn't look good.
From a design standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all over the place. No photos are ever the same size. Everything is just sort of scattered to the winds on the pages. But it also doesn't look like they're attempting to, they've got a bunch of extraneous stuff. It's not like they're trying to save pages. It's a very slim catalog anyway.
Yeah.
And they're just throwing a bunch of other random stuff on the pages.
There are a pretty huge number of pictures of people just holding vegetables and smiling at the camera like they
Don't
told
say
them.
vegetables, specifically
Yeah, I
onions.
don't know what I'm
People
talking-
holding onions.
Yeah.
It's just different people holding onions.
Yeah. There is one little child holding leeks that are as long as she is.
Basically, every
She's the veg king.
2-page
Big
spread.
Veg King.
Yeah, Big Veg King. Every 2-page spread has at least one picture of some person holding an onion or a few onions.
Yeah.
So that's important to them.
There is a picture of a baby that is the child of a couple of their employees that is named Harvest.
That's cute, but they also decided to put the baby photo in some sort of a scalloped,
Yeah, it's a
cut
really
out
horrible framing
lozenge
for it.
shape. It's very odd.
Well, maybe they need to crop out all the onions that would have otherwise.
Why would they crop out the onions?
Because they
They-
didn't want to introduce Harvest to that sort of crass commercialism from the outset.
The one thing I'll say that's positive about the catalog is that it's organized by region.
Yeah.
So it's just based on where you would be able to grow this particular type of onion.
Yeah, I will say that Allison is looking, as always, at the physical catalog, and I'm looking at the PDF. And this seems like a classic case of this being designed for the computer. I think it actually looks a lot better. All the fonts make sense if you're reading them on a computer screen. It looks like something meant to be scrolled through on a computer more than meant to be in print to me. The best catalogs we've seen, I think, look good as both.
All of the sort of basic rules. That the interesting thing, a lot of these catalogs that look bad because a person is they're just like trying a bunch of different things.
Sure.
And so instead of choosing like one nice legible font pair, every page must have at least 4 different fonts on it for no particular reason. They're all different sizes.
Yeah.
You know, wherever they've got bullet points, instead of just the normal bullet, they've got a weird bullet that is shaped like a target, like a red and white concentric ring target
Mhm.
for some reason. That kind of stuff. That's what you want to avoid. Just the way you can have a catalog that looks good is just don't try to do too much.
Right. Consistency across your formatting choices goes a really long way. I mean, we've looked at some very simple catalogs that we think look really good. Like Kitazawa comes to mind. It looks really professional, even though it's about as bare bones as you can get.
I guess if you send them a picture of your harvest,
They're going to put it
they
in
put
here.
it in the catalog because most of these pictures have people's names and their location.
Yeah,
so
that's
these are gardener submitted pictures of their crop.
That's an excellent point. And I can't remember another catalog that's been basically exclusively that. All the pictures that they offer of the things that they will sell you are from their customers.
Which I guess explains why there are so many people holding onions.
Yeah, right.
So if you want some quick fame,
You might be able to get in this catalog.
you want to go viral,
Wow,
take
maybe
a
we
picture
should.
of yourself with an onion and send it to these guys.
In the category, you remember one of our awards last week was least hygienic. I will say on the bottom of page 8, the picture for their intermediate day sampler submitted by Brenda Barr of Joe's, Colorado, has a bunch of onions interspersed with softballs, presumably to show the size of the onions, but they're like dirty softballs.
Well, the onions are dirty
The
too.
onions are dirty, but those softballs are dirty because they've been handled by innumerable human hands. I don't know. I find it to be gross. Do you want to read some of the descriptions? I thought we might want to start with, so you said it's organized by growing region. We're in the short day region with a day length of 10 to 12 hours being in our part of Florida.
1015Y Texas Super Sweet. Yellow, globe shape, sweet, open pollinated. Size potential 6 inches. Storage potential 2 to 3 months. Days to harvest 105 to 110. 1015Y Texas Super Sweet is the most widely adaptable short day onion. It is one of our most requested onions and one of the best varieties we sell. Known for its great flavor, large size, and disease resistance, you should produce good yields of 6-inch sweet yellow onions under the correct growing conditions. 1015Y is considered a mid-short day onion and will perform well in most intermediate day areas if planted early.
I mean, that seems like a perfectly functional description to me. The beginning of it, you obviously were reading it, so you can't tell, but they have bullet points that tell you the shape of it is a bullet point, the size potential is a bullet point, the storage potential is a bullet point, and then the days to harvest is a bullet point, and then you get the description.
Yeah, and the first bullet point is color, shape, flavor, and pollination.
Right.
So it's all of those, basic characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
And then size, storage, and time to grow.
I'll read the Red Creole, which is another short day variety. Red, globe shape, pungent, open pollinated heirloom. Size potential of 3 to 4 inches. Storage potential of 6 to 7 months. And 100 to 110 days to harvest. Red Creole is our best short day storage onion. This onion has a spicy Cajun-type flavor and can be added to any dish for a bolder experience. This onion is small to medium in size with pungent red-purple flesh and tolerant to disease with very little bolt resistance. Well adapted to all short-day growing areas. What do you suppose Cajun flavor is in an onion?
I don't know. I've never thought of an onion as Cajun before.
I mean, I think of Cajun flavor as being a set of spices, but none of those spices are an onion, I guess. I'm confused by that.
I don't know, but I do know that when I search for Cajun onion, most of the results are for Guy Fieri's Ragin' Cajun onion rings.
Well, I mean, those would be the ones to get, I guess. You got to grow those for that. At the bottom of this page, there's a fun fact that the average American consumes 20 pounds of onions per year, they claim. What poundage of those 20 pounds do you think are in the form of onion rings?
I can't believe the average American doesn't eat more onions than that.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think is the most common medium for the American onion ingestion?
I don't know, but just thinking about, we buy a 5-pound bag of onions at least every month, and then additional onions.
Yeah.
From time to time.
I mean, they definitely cook down, so it's not like you are visually seeing the onions going into your body.
Yeah, they cook down a lot. That's what I'm saying. 20 pounds a year is hardly anything for onions.
How many Bloomin' Onions does the average American consume?
That's what you wanted me to say. When you asked what is the most common format, you wanted me to say Bloomin'.
Yeah.
No, that's Australians.
Right.
Wow. Do we have any Australian listeners? Because they're really going to be mad.
We've had like 3 listens in Australia.
Okay.
I'm Googling, how many Bloomin' Onions does the average person eat?
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, the Outback Steakhouse does have 15 Bloomin' Onion facts. There's a special machine that cuts each onion into petals. They've experimented with the loaded Bloomin' Onion in the past. Bloomin' Onion's been around for more than 30 years. Chrissy Teigen is a huge fan. They're really stretching what constitutes a Bloomin' Onion fact. The Bloomin' Onion accounts for 1/4 of all Outback Steakhouse appetizer sales. Millions upon millions. 40 million Bloomin' Onions were sold between the years 2012 and 2015. So we should be able to do some rough back-of-the-napkin calculations about what that means for the average American's consumption of Bloomin' Onions. I won't do it on mic, but I'm going to figure it out and get back to it at the end of this episode.
All right. Well, speaking of onion facts, as you pointed out, the bottom of each page has some sort of either a tip or a fact, I guess. So they range from things like, when you receive your plants, cut the rubber bands off for proper ventilation. Onions require 20 to 22 inches of water per season. Sliced onions can soothe insect bites and burns on the skin. Wow, I've never I've never seen a first aid tip that recommended put onions on burns.
Well, do you remember when we learned about how you put a cabbage on your boob?
What do you mean when we learned about it?
About how that's the medicinal use of cabbage.
Yeah, but I already knew about that.
Oh, you already know.
The largest onion ever grown weighed 18 pounds and was an Ailsa Craig.
Do they carry that variety?
They do.
Will you read the description?
Ailsa Craig, our largest onion. Yellow, globe shape, sweet, open pollinated heirloom. Size potential, 8 inches,
Whoa.
up to 6 pounds. Storage potential, 1 month. Days to harvest, 95. Also known as Kelsey's Sweet Giant and Exhibition. Impress your neighbors and try growing a record-sized onion. The key is to plant Ailsa Craig early and never let it slow down. This heirloom variety was introduced in 1887 by David Murray, gardener for the Marquis of Ailsa, who lived on the small island off the coast of Scotland. Ailsa Craig does not store well, so enjoy it soon after harvesting.
Eat that 6-pound onion as fast as you can. I wanted to read the red candy apple onion. This is an intermediate day variety. This deep red, flat, globe-shaped, sweet hybrid. It's a size potential of 3 inches, a storage potential of 2 to 3 months, and 85 to 95 days to harvest. Dixondale Farms is proud to have the exclusive on this variety. Red candy apple has proved to be a reliable red intermediate day onion year after year. Although smaller in size, this onion can be pushed to grow larger with additional nitrogen. Allowed to grow to full maturity as this onion finishes strong. This red onion's color moves inside, producing the most beautiful red onion on the market. Contains a higher concentration of quercetins, an antioxidant compound that helps delay or slow damage to the cells and tissue of the body. Not recommended for northern portions of the long day area unless planted early, as it will bulb earlier than other intermediate day varieties. So that's the variety that will cure COVID, the red candy apple. I personally guarantee it.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first. Maybe Strictly Medicinal will start carrying it. And while we're reading long day onions, I'll read the Walla Walla.
I was thinking about that one because we have, of course, read that one in other catalogs before because it's a common one.
Yellow, semi-flat shape, sweet, open pollinated. Size potential, 6 inches. Storage potential, 1 month. Days to harvest, 90. Can also be grown in intermediate day areas. The Walla Walla is another customer favorite for its flavor and ease in growing. The story of Walla Walla sweet onions began over a century ago on the island of Corsica, off the west coast of Italy. They were brought to Walla Walla, Washington, by a French soldier. The variety has an excellent, sweet and mild flavor that is versatile for all types of use. Bulbs are early maturing, cold hardy, and have relatively low sulfur content.
Yeah, those look pretty classic to me. Do you want to end by reading the two? They have a section called Unique Varieties. They offer 2 of those.
Great. Red Torpedo Tropea. Red, torpedo shape, sweet, open pollinated. Size potential, 6 inches in length. Storage potential, 3 months. Days to harvest, 110. Plant 2 inches deep for the torpedo shape. Market this unique variety at farmers markets as it's seldom found in retail outlets due to very little commercial production. This wonderful old Italian specialty onion is originally from Tropea, the Calabrian town in Italy known for its superb cuisine. Italian torpedo onions can be used in any stage. When pulled as baby onions, just as the stems start to swell, their beautiful, bright magenta color, mild flavor, and crunchy texture work well in salads. When they bulb up, they have an elongated torpedo shape and develop a deep, pungent flavor.
Yeah, those look neat. They sort of resemble, like when I see the cross sections that have been sliced, I almost thought it was a radish initially. And then I'll read the Boratana Cipollini. It's a yellow, flat shape, mild, open pollinated heirloom. The size potential of 3 inches, a storage potential of 5 months, 105 days to harvest, and they advise you plant 2 inches apart for a cute shish kebab onion. These pretty little Italian onions from Barreto, Italy have a flattened, spherical shape and look just like rosy bronze glossy buttons, each about 1 to 3 inch in diameter and 1 inch thick. They have firm, fine-grained flesh, well-developed flavor, and satiny skins. When cooked, they really sweeten up and caramelize to a beautiful color. Yeah, I mean, a perfect onion for shish kebabs seems like a fun idea, because that's like classically a hard thing to skewer well, to cook over a grill. We made, I guess you could call them shish kebabs recently, but we had like alternated
cherry tomatoes
and mushrooms.
Button mushrooms.
Yeah. But I feel like a small onion that you could also stab through of approximately the size of one of those mushrooms, let's say, would be great.
Yeah, that would be delightful.
Yeah. Just to circle back, I was trying to do some calculations on Bloomin' Onion per person. And I was trying to figure out the weight of a Bloomin' Onion, but I was not able to find that out. But I did
it's a
learn
Vidalia, right? So
weight of a Vidalia but it's got batter and shit on it too.
But that's not the onion. I thought we were talking about what weight of onions people eat in the form of Bloomin'.
Well, then it became Bloomin' itself. I did learn that a Bloomin' Onion, a single Bloomin' Onion, is 2,000 calories.
I actually knew that.
You always know it before I...
Only because on a recent episode of the Doughboys podcast, they did Outback Steakhouse for the whatever, 3rd or 4th or 5th time.
Yeah.
And the person who was the guest, who I don't even remember who it was, said that when he was a kid, his parents would let him get a whole Bloomin' Onion to himself and then like another Bloomin' Onion for the table.
Whoa.
And so they looked up, they were like, wait, how many calories is that? And then they learned that it was 2,000 calories.
I don't even think that includes the sauce. I think that's just the onion.
I'm sure. Doesn't it have to include the sauce?
I think it includes the breading, but not the sauce.
Wow. Well, that seems deceptive because...
I mean, it's a real, like...
It should be... The calories on the plate should be what they have to tell you.
I mean, I think it's a real power move to get and consume a whole Bloomin' Onion with your family, but then also eat from the table's Bloomin' Onion after that.
He didn't say that he also ate some of the table's onion. It's just that he was unwilling to share any of his. Onion. He wanted to eat 100% of his Bloomin' Onion. So if they wanted Bloomin' Onion, they had to order a second one.
Can you imagine the bowel movement if you ate an entire Bloomin' Onion? Good Lord. All right. And then I just wanted to end. I was curious as we were talking about the black market or bootleg Vidalias that were sold during the 1985 freeze, other onions that were passed off as Vidalias. And like I was reading about how, again, like Vidalia is actually a city in Georgia, which I had no idea about until this episode. But I went to see if you could, like, what websites sold Vidalias, and it looks like largely like you can't get Vidalia seeds. I mean, it's not a Vidalia unless it's grown there, right? But it does look like Burpee, they sell a Granix onion seed. And in their description, it reads, "This onion made famous in Vidalia," so that when you search Vidalia, I think this comes up. I think that they're trying to pass it as sense. Vidalia, but it is not. I did see if you can buy Vidalia onions. You can buy a 10-pound package on Amazon, and there's a separate entry for...
I'm sorry, you can buy a 10-pound bag of onions on Amazon?
Yeah, apparently.
Weird.
Of Vidalia onions. I went to the reviews. 1 star. Doubt that these are genuine Vidalia onions. I seriously doubt that these are genuine Vidalia onions. The shape was not classic Vidalia, and the odor flavor was very strong and sharp. These are not shipped from Georgia, but from upstate New York, which is suspect.
Wow.
1 star. False advertising. These were so strong and pungent. I've had Vidalia onions for years. These are not sweet Vidalia onions. Signed by Jim Rigoli, Vietnam veteran. That is the Amazon review. That Vietnam veteran knows his Vidalia onions. 3 stars. They were not true Vidalia from Georgia. Then the other Vidalia
Wait,
onion.
3 stars because they were onions.
They were onions, so 3 stars. Then the only other Vidalia onion entry on Amazon also is reviewed poorly. 1 star, false advertisement. These are mislabeled. They are not Vidalia onions at all, period. So I guess people are still trying to pass off other onions as Vidalia onions to this day, since 1985.
Why don't they at least grow yellow Granix onions? No one could tell if they weren't grown in Vidalia, if they were.
I don't know. These people, that Vietnam vet thinks he is able to tell.
Well, I'm sure if someone gave you a regular onion, you would know it's not a Vidalia onion. From the way you would know it's not a yellow Granix onion.
Yeah.
From the way it looked and tasted. That's all true.
These are the kind of people that are like, these grapes were not grown in the Champagne region of France, right?
I don't agree with you. I think these people are pointing out that these are not yellow Granix onions.
At all.
At all.
Huh.
That these are some other random onion. But, on Amazon, they're lucky they're not just getting a picture of an onion.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
That stuff.
Or an onion on a mug. A picture of an onion
on a mug. There was someone who got, there's a comedian who ordered a doormat off of Amazon. And it was a doormat, but it was one of those spongy, crappy doormats that had a picture of a regular doormat printed on it. Like there's a picture of the doormat they thought they were getting on a worse doormat.
Hold on, I gotta read you one more review. 1 star, not Vidalia onions. Not Vidalia onions. Hot, not sweet. Total ripoff. Took forever to get here too. Wish they had never arrived. I'm a sucker.
Damn.
All right, if you're so inclined, you can elect to follow us on Twitter at cdbusiness or on Instagram at cdbusinesspod. You can email us at cdbusinesspod@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like us to talk about a particular catalog. We did get one more review.
Nice.
Which was just a very kind one, written by John KPA. It says, wonderful, re-downloaded the app just to leave this review. A lovely podcast that got me back into gardening. I'd forgotten how much variety exists in the world of edible plants. Thank you, Allison and Roman. The nicest possible thing.
That's so nice. I love it.
So sweet.
That makes me really happy.
Yeah, that makes me happy that people are getting back into gardening, following the example of our gardener laureate, Martha Stewart, and that big veg gardener, Gerald. And assuming they are authentic, not bootlegged Vidalia onions, you should eat your vegetables.
We're all just doing the best we can.
Speak for yourself.
It's city business. It's city business. Boring talk about seeds, city talk between boys. Mind-numbing chatter about our mules and spores. We'll dig a ditch and moan and split the difference. City business. It's